My name is Julian Weinrib. I am the Director of the Office of the Vice Provost, Innovations in Undergraduate Education. And our office has helped to coordinate this webinar series. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time this afternoon, and particularly our presenters for taking the time and bringing their expertise to the university community. This series was developed to provide support to those in the process or considering how they might adapt the way their courses have historically been offered to this new scenario. And so we've been drawing upon those around the university who have some insights and expertise into different components. As you see on your screen now, there's 8 sessions that are going to be offered in this series. And if you're interested in attending any more of those, please feel free to register. It's been a great success to this point, and really looking forward to today's discussion. So with that in mind, I will turn it over to Alison Van Beek from the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering, who will be moderating and facilitating today's discussion. So thank you again, everyone.
I am briefly turning the camera on. Maybe I'll stop sharing just for 1 second so that I can say hi a bit bigger. Jen's got a kitty. And I will just share the content back again so that we can see all of our files here today. But I do like to turn the content off for a minute just so that we can see each other briefly. But I will turn is just to hopefully keep the session moving so that we get through all of the fantastic questions that everybody submitted and the chats that the panelists will be asking. It is a Q&A, so we will be asking you to raise your hands using the virtual hand raise at the bottom of your screen. Oh, I see. I thought I might have seen a quick hand raise. That was the perfect timing. But because we do have quite a few people on the session, raising your hand virtually would be awesome. And so I will ask you to do that. Oh, I just realized I'm on the wrong slide. And so very quickly, my name is Allison. Julian just announced as well, I'm from the Faculty of Engineering, so I manage the Education and Technology Office there. And so we work with faculty like yourselves as you are implementing technology in your class. And I also wanted to introduce today our session speakers. So first we have Jen. I'm not sure, do you want to turn on your camera for a second? We'll leave that. People can turn on their cameras if you would like, or you want to say hi. Who is the Assistant Dean from the Daniels Faculty of Architecture. We have Jay Pooley, who is a lecturer, also from the Faculty of Architecture. And we have Maxime Batterine, who's the Director of Technology Services. Nobody's turning on their cameras. I thought maybe we would turn on the cameras, but apparently not. And we have Renee Lear, who is a digital media technician. Oh, we probably use some of the same things, Renee and I. And they will be your panelists for today's session. Did any of the panelists want to say a quick hi before we get right into it? Oh, I see Jen.
Hello.
Yeah. Renee.
Can you see me? Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, there, that works good. So after the session, if time allows, we will talk about how like Jen has a cat on her head right now and how jealous I am of this entire experience thus far. All right. Everybody looks ready to get right into this. Are there any quick questions before we get going? I'm cognizant of time. I'm trying to keep us moving because I do think that there will be quite a few questions for everyone to talk about. And the format of today's session will be that each panelist will have a couple of minutes to talk about their area of expertise and some of their experiences in this domain, and then we will open it up to a larger Q&A session. So again, if you have a question, please raise your hand using that virtual hand raise. I'll ask you to turn on your microphone or to use the chat to ask a question. And then it will be a free floor for you to ask all of your questions to our panelists. All right. I believe the panelists will move their own slides.
That's right. Thank you very much, Alison.
Okay, perfect. Take it away.
So I'm going to thank you for the introduction. I'm going to open the presentation from Daniel's today with just a very brief introduction to the faculty, because we may have some people who've come in today and are not familiar with who we are and what we do. A lot of people think of us as architecture, and certainly Daniel's faculty began with an architecture school, but we have acquired and sort of grown to encompass landscape architecture and urban design. And then only a few years ago, we also adopted visual studies into our faculty. And then just last year, we were happily joined by the Faculty of Forestry. And so that's the relevance of this image. And this is a caddisfly larva, and it has done as our faculty did, which is find beautiful things and assimilate it onto itself. And the other thing that I wanted to share by way of introduction was, because you've already alluded to the cat on my head, Alison, and we're here to talk about video today, I'm going to share a link right here chat with everybody, which is the application that I'm using today. So this is a third-party application which you get started before you use any of your Zoom or Teams or BB Collaborate. You can get it set up with whatever background or sort of funny little hat or something before you get started for the day. So my part of the presentation won't be too technical. I'm going to be talking a little bit about case studies very briefly, and I am mindful that a couple of our faculty members who are featured here are actually in today's call. So if we have questions about this later, I hope they're going to help out. I'm going to talk about a landscape professor, Jane Wolfe, and a few forestry professors were Sean, Jay, who also working with Johnson, who's with us today, and Daniela as well. And I just wanted to introduce these different professors because they each have brought a problem about transferring their field course to remote learning, and they're each bringing a different approach and new tools and different ways of thinking about it as we've been moving forward. So just very quickly, I'll start by talking about Jane's landscape course, which would usually be a day trip of a few days out on a bus around the GTA area. And instead, Jane is now working on teaching observational techniques and how to have a sort of experience, an analytic experience of landscape by filming the same location several times over, the assistance of a student film director with different experts. So we would have somebody focusing on ecology and somebody focusing on architecture and somebody focusing on you see there I've included a drain. That's because that's my area of expertise, and I've agreed to help out by talking about stormwater and drainage for Jane's project. Then this will be followed up during the fall semester with some sort of assignment which will involve the students wherever they are in the world, and we are very mindful that we have a lot of students elsewhere in the world. They will be able to take the same techniques but apply it to their local neighbourhood by taking a walk and doing these sorts of analyses of their own neighbourhood. A different approach is being taken by Sean and Jay, and also with John Casperson is going to be sharing some footage. They're going out to a number of different sites across southern Ontario. We've got site up in Halliburton, around the GTA, and also as far as Ottawa, where they're going to be doing some filming with student film crew over the summer to demonstrate explicit techniques, and then they are going to devise assignments which use simplified tools such as this quadrat, which you can see there, which is used for diversity measurements, that students would be able to either find or fabricate themselves, and then they can perform the scientific experiments, again in their own neighbourhood or around their own home, and then submit an assignment during the semester. Daniela has been working already over in Waterloo and has been teaching some summer courses online and has learned about the value of students actually recording themselves performing a task. So she has been, will be working in a similar way to do a sort of demonstrative videos for the students, but then she's also been talking about the iterative process of watching the videos that the students produce when they are emulating the skills, and then providing feedback so that the students can then do a second video, maybe a few days later or following week. And so she's working a lot with this sort of feedback mechanism where people are corresponding asynchronously, sending short videos. Daniela is also very engaged with a project that we've got where and this is a little bit of an aside to today's subject, looking at the applications on smartphones, which can be used in place of perhaps other forms of analysis or infrastructure that we would actually have on campus. And what we've been doing with the help of Sheetsa Magari, who's a summer student for Jay Pooley, who's our next speaker, we've been putting together on our own SharePoint site, and you're welcome to come and join us, and we will let you in to come and have a look at our content. Within the faculty, we've been creating this list, and you can see over here on the left side, this is what the web page looks like with a whole number of different applications. So some of these are smartphone applications, some of these are websites with good online resources. And for every one, we've created both a link to the resource, a brief description, and then this was something that we came up with as a way to sort of really get to network between ourselves as instructors and share knowledge, is we're using the people function of the SharePoint site. So anybody visiting the site can spot who is already a known user, and they can get in touch and say, you know, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And we're not claiming any level of expertise, but we are just expressing the fact that we have used this tool, and we'd be happy to correspond with people about that. So this is sort of the role that I've been taking, and I'm going to hand over now for more of the technical aspect to Jay Pooley, who's going to talk to us about the actual video work.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jay Pooley. I'm an instructor at Daniel's faculty. I don't have a cat on my head, but I do have slides on my right-hand side, and you can find that software here. It's called OBS. It's a broadcasting software suite that I've been using as a lecture tool for more engagement. So my practice is based outside of lecture, also in production design for film and television. So I design and lead the construction of sets, props, special effects, environments for primarily short format projects I've been able to shoot around the world, including Kiev, Lisbon, New York, and Los Angeles. Also working on projects where we donate roughly 20% of our time to organizations that need some extra support, including the Canadian Olympic Committee, Sick Kids Hospital. I'm going to walk you through some of what we do at Daniels and how we teach and how we can start to implement this into some of the fieldwork recordings. So I teach primarily in the undergraduate faculty. In the 8 years that I've been there, we've watched that faculty grow from roughly 300 students to over 1,000 students. And we've been very lucky to have a lot of great students come through with us. So something I noticed right away is that as an architecture student and as a designer myself, we draw and we represent things very well in terms of technical drawings, in terms of physical modeling, and the production of physical prototypes. This is a design for a gondola system in Banff, Alberta, that 3 architecture students along with 3 engineering students designed in collaboration in collaborative studio with Jason Baslak at the Faculty of Engineering. We did this project students project in Banff, even before we all had to move online. So it is doable. We can do this. We also recognize quickly that the documentation of these projects is really useful. So this is a drone shot of a project that was designed and built in 2 weeks in Prince Edward County as a 3rd and 4th year design build studio at the Daniels faculty. We wanted to take some of these processes further and see how we could start actually making some of the tools. These are a series of light drawings that were created in our first year design studio, how to design almost anything, where students have to make a tool and then make a drawing using long format photography. So actually pretty simple techniques that came out with some pretty great results. We've extended this into the graduate program. This is a project from my memory and making class where students have to document the history of a life with objects that they've made. And this student put together a hologram box and actually created holograms that move inside of it. Coming sort of full circle to how this works with film again, I noticed that as architects and designers, and as landscape architects and visual artists and scientists, we're very good at describing the details of a project through, turn this down, through drawings, diagrams, and other visualizations. But in terms of architecture, how to actually discuss the experience of a place and the memory of a place and our footprint there, I started developing a project called Films About Buildings. And this is a film from 3 first-year students in combined faculties between visual studies, architecture, about the experience of going to the AGO. So we've been running this project for 7 years now. And we've produced hundreds of videos throughout the project, which we share throughout the faculty. And this is also how we've been able to source a lot of the students that are now working with some of our fieldwork instructors. So breaking down the anatomy of a fieldwork film, and I'm mindful that we have colleagues here today across several different faculties with very diverse interests. So I've tried to make this as informative and technically useful as possible, while being mindful of the variety of instructional methods and research that some of you will be using for this. So yes, phone ownership is great, and I'm going to get to that shortly. So how to break down a fieldwork film, and I know that moving into film work can be intimidating if you've never done it before, if you've never used it as a tool for research or for teaching. I encourage you to break it down into 4 small sections, starting with your script. So basically trying to think about what you'd like to say. Think about it like you're writing a lecture or you're writing a paper, what you'd like to say and how you'd like to say it. Next, to make a schedule and a detailed breakdown of the shot. So the type of assets that you'd like to create. This includes film footage, sound recordings. I love using still photos in films, diagrams, and then additional footage and other sources. And then finally, editing it together and how you cut this all together. So planning your film shoot, starting with equipment. Yes, as Jen mentioned, the phone ownership is a really important thing. And actually, in 2016, I worked on a campaign with Apple called Shot on iPhone. And they asked their directors, they sent directors around the world an iPhone 6, and they asked them to shoot a campaign for it. So we've had the tools to do high quality film work for a long time. We've had them for years now, 20 years at least. And I think that it's something that's incredibly accessible to almost everyone, and something that is incredibly helpful in terms of your teaching. So don't be intimidated by the type of equipment that you might think you need to make a high quality film. Most of the things I've shown you outside of my professional work have been made with a smartphone. So either an Android phone or an iPhone. We've recently purchased a suite of assignments that are happening this summer that Jen was talking about earlier. The GoPros are useful because they have rechargeable batteries, and they also have removable SD cards, so memory cards. So if a student is shooting over, say, a 6-7 hour period, it's really quick and easy to be able to swap out batteries, to be able to take a card out, to be able to upload the footage, and also to be able to FaceTime with the principal that they're working with to make sure that they're getting everything correctly. So having a secondary shooting device is useful, and I do recommend GoPros. They're robust, they're easy to use, and they're kind of hard to screw up your shots in terms of lighting and sound. If you have a DSLR like this Canon on the right here, It is useful, but don't feel like you need to start there. If it's something that you're comfortable with and you're comfortable with shooting videos or stills on it, absolutely go for it, but it's not absolutely necessary either. Stabilizers are something that we've brought into the faculty over the last year now, and I do have a link for a really cheap and easy one to use. I'm going to send this out to the chat now. This one's available at Henry's in Toronto. They're about $100. You can snap your smartphone into it, and it makes for a steady walking shot. So if you're moving through a shot, or you're moving through a neighborhood or through a forest, it's something that helps to actually stabilize the image along with a shot. But if you want to do a moving image, say such as this one, there's a shot with a very straightforward gimbal. So for about $100, you can easily calibrate it. You can snap your phone on. It basically just holds the image in a steady way while you're moving. Oh, and I don't want to forget about sound. Renee's going to talk more about sound as well, but there are lots of great lav mics available. A lav mic is basically just a microphone that clips on to your shirt. You probably used one before for lecturing, or you've seen other people use them. They're about $100 as well, and they added onto a smartphone, a GoPro, or a DSLR. So in terms of scheduling your shoot, that's sort of the next big part, and that's what allows us to get through big shoot days and very technically involved shooting processes. And I think it's the same thing for making a fieldwork film as well. Something that I've always found useful is to create storyboards for your project. You don't have to be a great artist to do this. You can basically screen capture images from the internet of terms of references or sources that you'd like to use, or types of shots that you're interested in. And I'm going to talk about a shooting sequence further on. You want to be able to plan your shots based around access. Next, also by workflow and lighting. Lighting is important in terms of trying to see things as clearly as possible without them being too blown out or being too dark. I encourage you, if you're going to be shooting something in the field, to go visit that place before your shoot day and just have a quick overview in terms of what the lighting conditions are when you want to get there. Next, you want to convert your storyboards, so the way that you see your film presenting itself, into a shooting schedule, and try to translate this into a schedule for the day so that you make sure that you capture everything. This can look a lot like this. This is just a very straightforward shot list. I think the tried and true method is starting with an establishing shot. So doing something very clearly, showing an overview of what we're looking at, what we're talking about. Next, moving into a wide frame shot, so punching it a little bit closer. And then you can show something a little closer than that. We call it a medium frame. It's used oftentimes for interview. I'm a little bit shorter than a medium frame. A medium frame would be a little further up. And then close-up shots are great in terms of showing some detail as well. Here's a quick little framing guide in terms of what of an establishing shot, so going very wide, versus a medium close-up or an MCU. So medium close-up is something that we see often times in documentary-style interviews or the type of speaker presentations. Next is editing. And editing, and I know it can oftentimes feel very complicated, but it's something, again, it's also very straightforward. The keys is keep your software simple. We run about here, and even though they're far more to start with a simple piece of editing software like iMovie or like the Windows Media Player. The benefit of this is that you can spend more time focusing on cutting your footage into a way that tells your story in the best possible manner, rather than getting bogged down by all the extra features in something like Premiere or Final Cut Pro, which are also available. But I think starting with something a little simpler is kind of the way to go. I recommend using iMovie or the Windows Movie Maker to be able to cut down your film into sections. So I'm going to do a quick little case study. This is a trailer for a film called Henry Glassy, The Field Work. This film premiered at TIFF last year. Let's have a quick look at it here.
I don't study people at all. I stand with people and study what they create. That's what interests me. What do they choose to present as emblems of their being? Art might be the telling of stories. It might be the plowing of a beautiful field. It might be the building of a fine house. It might be the making of a great dinner. Whatever materials I choose, whatever medium I choose, whatever vehicle, whatever genre, that doesn't matter. What matters is the pattern.
Okay, so this is a film about somebody who does field studies. His books include Pattern of Material Folk Culture in the Eastern United States, Material Culture from 1999, and Vernacular Architecture. The interesting thing about this film, if we start right from the very beginning, we see this pattern of establishing shot, moving into wide shot, and then punching into a detail. And this is a flow that I would strongly recommend everybody take. Also, something that to make note, when you go to shoot this stuff and you start to lay out how you want to see this film play, you don't necessarily have to shoot in the order in the order that you're actually going to present the film. If it's more convenient to go into a close-up first, somebody's working with material or process first, you can start there. I can say that most of the time in professional filmmaking, we do start wide quite often. Once sort of the stage is set, we want to capture everything and get that wide shot knocked off right away. And then we can move in closer to the person and then to the details and try to capture all the little fragments around it. Something I will say is if something is looking good and you feel like something is working, shoot it and shoot lots of it. As soon as we see something that might be a happy accident or we weren't entirely planning for, we take the opportunity and we try to shoot as much of it as we can. Thank you very much, Allison, for those suggestions. This old Mac guy is a little slow to Windows sometimes. So the last thing I'm going to end on is the idea of knowing your audience. I fielded a lot of questions from faculty, so I'm the faculty representative for helping Daniels get online for the fall. And I fielded a lot of questions over the past couple months about nervous faculty who are afraid that the thing they put up or the thing they make or the film they put out is not going to be Oscar worthy and might not be their best performance. And I think we sometimes get a little bit suffocated by letting perfect get in the way of good. And I'd like to remind everybody that of course a lot of our audience, a lot of our students, they're very used to very quick and fast media. They don't want things to be entirely polished. So for instance, the Versus rap battles, which has really gained a lot of popularity over during the pandemic for online streaming via Instagram. The Jill Scott and Erykah Badu battle had 750,000 synchronous views. And this guaranteed Jill Scott in the top for Erykah Badu has her iPhone posted up set up. For myself, for lectures and for quick announcements, I completely plan on using my iPhone to quickly connect to students to make a quick announcement and to be able to post that up fast. I think that students are more interested in hearing from you and hearing that connection rather than being absolutely perfect. So that's it from me, and I'm going to pass it on to Renee and Maxim.
Who is going to start?
I think you are.
Looking, where is the presentation?
I don't know.
I'm bringing your presentation right back, guys.
Great. Oh, that's me, but Maxime, did you have? Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah, that's Monica. Well, I guess I'm talking from the perspective of the how faculty can support all our field workers and all the recordings and I guess teaching from home and actually from the fields as well. We are blessed that we are a visual faculty by nature, so all of the visual part means like movie making, photo shoots is kind of part of the curriculum, and accordingly we do have a support for it. So but of course, like it is a little bit unorthodox way to do it with the current situation of the virus spreading the world. So there were some changes, and I guess from support perspective is like, of course, like expecting every faculty member can go and buy tripods, gimbals, while they cheap, but maybe at the same time not effective. Means like, at least like for our faculty, we decided that we can easily provide it, especially like they are rented for like a day or two, returned, and somebody else can rent it. Like at least like over the summer right now, there is a steady schedule of equipment, like a list to go to the people who are preparing their materials like every day, I would say, for the fall term. So and from support of the like from support perspective, like there were like a couple of things to address in general, like how you sign up equipment if we are closed, how do you not intersect with people, how you do remote support, and how to safely hand out equipment. So we have to develop a disinfection schedule, like whatever we rent, we give it directly to the end users and asking them actually not to disinfect anything, because some equipment is pretty sensitive to what solution you use, and it does require like at least knowledge and skills, I would say. So we ask them like, this is yours, use it. When you return it, we're gonna disinfect it for you and prepare it for the next user. So one of our things what we did as well is we did a locker exchange. Basically, instead of having face-to-face facing basically people, is request is made and we'll just gonna put it in one of the lockers with a known code, and students at any time or faculty member come in and pick it up equipment. At the same time, it will return to the same locker, notify us it's there, and we'll pick it up and clean it up. Given that actually university is still closed, so help desk actually is not open, so it's only like we are arriving to the faculty, like or if we have someone at the faculty who can do that procedures for us. And well as the biggest one, probably like it changes in current days, is that our regional ways to support people do not work anymore. Like email sometimes take too long, especially if you're sitting home. Like previously, people can just drop into the help desk system, like help desk office, and get attention and get like immediate support. So we found that Teams real-time support channels are way better than the ticketing or emails. As well, what we did is, again, I don't know, I feel it's a good initiative. We are contacting every faculty member, like, and we are blessed that we do have a audiovisual staff basically on our payroll that can help faculty members to help them. Like, we're asking them questions, what they're going to teach, how they're going to teach, what their plans, and is there any way we can help them, because we can point like, the easier way to how we can support them, how they can deliver their course more interestingly, or well, at least easiest way, because like during a conversation it's easy to say, look, come in, borrow from us this and this, shoot it that way, this is a program you can use. And I don't know, it feels like faculty, I really appreciate our efforts. Well, I also on top, I guess I can say, we tried to kind of predict and go like in an unorthodox way to what else can be used in the fields which we which previously, like, basically you have a students before you, like, and one of the things was like this interesting piece, which is again not cheap, but it permits to kind of do your lecture right from the fields. Like, it has connection to the cell phone network, and it has Teams integrated. Basically, it's like a cell phone. Like, it is kind of like a cell phone. The only difference is your hands are free, and you can preview what actually the remote party is seeing, and it is. I guess very useful, like, if you're outdoor, like showing something like on a in the details, like over close-ups, or like it does bring some interactivity. Like means I would say it should be complementary, like not alone to the offline recording, because footage from the real-time recording would like will have a lot of I would say deficiencies, shakes, and this, versus if you plan your shooting and you pre-record some materials which can be easily referenced on time. But same time, real life, like, it will bring to your presentation, if for example you have recording, like pre-recorded your session, and during a class you go into the field and actually show it and answer real questions with the something, it's also could be cool. But again, like, it's something what you shouldn't buy yourself, but like I guess a department will support you. We also find that, like, we are thinking nowadays how we can do like a chemicals lab and this, or like we do have some projects where faculty members doing like something with the hands, so like so like there's a various of equipment which is again not used to our faculty previously, as we kind of never needed that, because all our visuals parts usually were like made model and everybody around it looking at it. Well, now it is we're looking for other tools, like either document cameras, if it's something on your table in a parallel to the camera which is showing your face, or like actually again second web camera on a tripod on a tabletop, which permits to shoot anything beside, well, it's not comfortable to shoot anything beside yourself if you have to move the laptop, for example. So this is like from a support point, like, from a faculty standpoint, is what we are trying to do to help our teachers and instructors for this fall term, I would say. And our summer term is actually like, one of the test pilots is we're trying to run some courses. And I guess Renee will continue it because she has a hands-on experience with the summer courses, actually, as she's participated as a teacher assistant in some of them. Renee?
Hello. I'm not sure where my slide is. I have to go backwards. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've given it all away. Okay. So I'll keep it short and sweet. I just want to emphasize the importance of audio when you're recording video. So I've been working with students and faculty doing video recordings for about 10 years now as a technician, and I found that video usually gets privileged over the audio, and I find, particularly in a teaching situation, that it would be better if it were the other way around. So people need to hear you, and listening shouldn't be annoying. It should be enjoyable. So nothing like a good microphone to help you out of that situation. Your laptop doesn't have a good microphone. Your DSLR does not have a good microphone. So, and if we're talking in the field, I just have a couple suggestions. And Zoom recorders. So this little H1N on the right here, it is a very versatile, very compact, easy to carry with you, throw it in your bag recorder with an onboard mic. So you can use the onboard mic, you can plug a mic into it and use it as a recorder, you can connect it to a camera and record right to your camera. Or the Zoom H4N, if you want to level up. It can record several channels at the same time. You can use fancier mics with it, and it's a little bit bulkier, but it's got some more possibilities to it. And this little guy here, I just love this thing, portable studio recorder with lav mic. So this gives your subject the freedom to walk around and be mic'd perfectly, and they can forget about the fact that they have a mic on them. So if you're in a situation, you have two of these, two people, and they're walking around in their environment and they're talking to each other, and there's a camera person recording it. The camera person's a little further back. You're not going to get good audio from that camera, even if you have a good mic on it. So they're being mic'd perfectly. They don't have to worry about a mic being on them, and that's just good for your subject. And then you have to sync it in post after. But video editing software is getting better and better at that sort of thing. So Final Cut and Premiere, both very good at it. And when it comes right down to it, it's not that hard to do yourself either. So it's definitely an option. And I'll leave it at that so we can get to some questions. But if you come away with anything, I want you to think through your audio. Don't let it be an afterthought. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you to every. I also feel like we got a nice example of different formats of having a webinar call from Jay, who had the slides superimposed with his multiple video streams, and then the rest of us plebs who had to do it the old-fashioned way, apparently. But I think the rest of our time is largely